Welcome to Gray Areas for October 21st, 2025, episode 695. It is time for the annual tradition that goes back, I think, about a decade. I mean, we talked about the Suns earlier on in the show, but I don't know if we ever did like a formal episode where we really went into it. But it's time to do it now.
Wow, it's happening. This thing that we have done forever is happening.
Yeah. And this is going to be interesting, as we'll get into when we dive into it. But like, we have a different set of expectations this year than we did in years past. That's what the thing at the top alludes to. Maisie's telling Sean to hurry. Good job, Maisie. We respect it.
I was seeing Sean not here. It's just. I can't even put it in words. That's all.
You can't? Is that hard to put into
Nope.
words? Really?
Yeah, it really is. It really is, especially because I can't see you right now.
I seem to figure it out when you're not here, putting it into words and all that.
But see, here's the thing. You know when I'm not here. I let you know when I'm not here. And the difference is you just show up whenever you feel like.
Oh.
Calling you out. You show up. You're the worst part is because you specifically make yourself late to make yourself dinner. Like, it's not only that you do this thing that infuriates everyone that we've discussed again and again and again. It's also the fact that you do that thing that infuriates everyone to make yourself late to double infuriate everyone. I don't know if you like just get off on it or what. I don't know what it is.
See.
I don't know.
I don't think he believes you.
Anyway,
See.
Sun stuff.
Yeah, we might as well jump in.
Yeah. Oh my God. I've been thinking about this all week.
I know, and I had a couple of things I was going to maybe talk to at the start. Like, 'cause sometimes we'll go on a 5 or 10 minute tangent, and I was like, "There's no reason. We'll have time to circle back to whatever else is on the side there." So like, it's going to be pretty easy to fill an hour on this, I think, because we can talk both about last season, which we did a little memorandum on last season when it was dead and over with, but last season relative to this season, what our expectations are, and the win total that I think is going to be fascinating because the last 2 years we've all picked within a range of 2, basically like consecutive numbers. I would be surprised if that was the case this time.
I'd be very surprised. Now, Chris, I can't see Dave. I don't know if you guys cover this. It's not a huge deal, but I like seeing his face, his angry face. There you go. Hey, there it is. Not so tough now that I can see you, huh, Dave? You bitch.
I didn't change. I didn't know that you couldn't, and 2, I don't care. Like,
it looks like you're watching. You're wearing my shirt. It looks like. Is it not?
No. This is mine. I bought this one.
Is it a Lulu shirt?
Yeah, but I bought it myself.
Is it a Sun shirt?
No, it's purple though. Close enough.
But like you have like 6 Sun shirts. Sorry, we'll get started.
I do.
But like,
I do. I was working out.
I forgot. I hadn't put one on, but I tossed one on before the show started.
Yeah, because you're a professional.
He
Anyways,
could go do it right now. He could run and do it. He would even be able to hear some of what was happening.
I was fucking vamping for you. You could have gone to get a shirt.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I have a purple shirt. It's all good.
All right.
Purple.
Okay,
Purple
that's the kind of fans we're dealing with. They really.
I mean, it.
Yeah, have they lost you a little bit? Is that why, Dave? Are you like
No, actually, I'm stunningly more excited about this season than I have.
Let's talk about that.
Thought I would.
Yeah, we'll get to that pretty much right away.
Yeah. So vibes, way good. It is the most a preseason has meant in probably as long as I can remember because wins and losses don't really matter. But being able to see how different the vibes are, huge. They look like they're having fun, which I was like surprised about. And like, look, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm probably the most critical on our podcast of Kevin Durant. I don't know how much is necessarily his fault, but the vibes were bad with Durant. And if you look at his history, has there been a team where the vibes have been great? By the end, maybe Brooklyn, but like they had their other issues that maybe masked that and all the stuff with Steve Nash as the coach. And
one of the things I was going to talk about at some point, Dave's way too small on the screen. Oh no, fix it live, fix it, fixed. Was that I was going to get to the Durant point later, but we're jumping in, so fuck it. Let me turn off Cody's camera. He's not here. Great. As I look back on Kevin Durant's career, it was really fascinating to watch him for a couple seasons. Maybe the most gifted one-on-one scorer the league has ever seen. And certainly not the reason why we did not succeed on his own, as you mentioned, Sean. Like, there's a multitude of reasons, and very few of them are about him. And we're not going to relitigate this for the 50th time. It's not because of the trade for him. The team with him could have been good enough to win a title. Chris Paul's injury, DeAndre Ayton's quitting on the team in that Denver series, we'll never know. Denver ended up winning the championship. I'm not saying we beat them even if those two stick around at full capacity, but whatever. When you look back at Durant's career, the only time that he really fit in was in Golden State. And I think part of the reason for that was it was the only time he was not expected to be the best player on his team. That was Steph Curry's team, both because he was the MVP and because he had been there for so long. So it was the one time where Durant kind of just got to do his thing. He just wants the ball. He doesn't really want to lead. And I know the bus driver or passenger thing has been done to death, but we saw it firsthand here the last 2 seasons. Durant's a hell of a ball player. I like his social media stuff. I know some people think it's a little obnoxious. I think it's kind of funny. I like his honesty with folks. He does not want to be the guy on a team. And we saw it here. And in some weird ways, Devin Booker kind of took after that. So I'm excited to see how Booker looks this season because of the change there.
Yeah, it's interesting that Booker seems to encapsulate who his second best player is. Like when he had his second best player as Chris Paul, I feel like he had that more chippiness, that more like cutthroat, that more type of mentality. And then when he had Durant, it was more the I'll lay back and vibe, which is so funny because I feel like Durant or Booker is so much his own guy. He doesn't really like act like every other superstar. He's so much of he'll do what he wants. He'll chill in Flagstaff over the summer instead of going on vacation or going to the beach or whatever. It's weird how his basketball persona is different than his persona.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a chameleon, right? Which, like, in a lot of ways, a Team USA, that's why he fit in and was so stellar. But, like, yeah, he can also maybe absorb some of the personality of the other, like, star player. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that before. I think you're onto something with that.
Then what's interesting this season, though, is that his second best player, Jalen Green, I guess, at this point. So as we look at the roster down the road here, like his second best player is someone who is not a superstar, who is, young and has potential for sure, but not a superstar. So does that mean Book becomes his own person again? Kind of like how he was on the bubble team in a way where he was the undisputed best player on the team. I don't know. There's something to that.
I'm glad you brought up the bubble team because I feel like there is a lot of potential parallels. I want to be careful not to fall into the trap of Hakeem Warwick is the new Amare that we did.
No.
But like, I look at some of these players and I'm like, there's kind of like some good analogies, and part of that is Booker being the guy again, and that's gonna, we'll explore the win totals and all of that. We can kind of break down the new roster. You brought up Jalen Green, and I think that that's interesting because he is not really a great player. He's like good to below average, depending on what you use to measure him. Obviously, freak athlete, pretty good 3-point shooter. Bad at defense. I believe he's kind of undersized as well, especially in weight when we're talking about that. He didn't really do much in Houston, had, I think, the worst plus minus on the team. So, like, he's very talented. Physical specimen for sure. I don't think he's actually very good. And Dave, I think this was your concern when we got him. Was like, oh, great, yeah. Jalen Green.
I heard a stat where Jalen Green was in volume and sense of volume, so like his usage rate was the worst mid-range shooter in the league. Volume rate. And I don't know exactly how they calculate that. It's not like he is that bad. But to me, he's a fantasy guy. He's a guy that's can get you points on a bad team. He can get a lot of things, but he's also super young. I mean, he's 23 years old. It's not like the guy is a hopeless case. And he showed a lot of flashes a couple of years ago, especially with Houston in his first couple of years. So it's not like he's a hopeless cause, but also is he someone that can be your number 2 on a playoff team? And that's the hard part that you see when you give up a guy like Kevin Durant, and he's kind of the centerpiece of your return package, other than the draft pick.
And I think there are natural questions to ask about the fit between him and Booker as far as the backcourt goes. The size issue that Sean mentioned is certainly part of that. The fact that both of them are sort of like on-ball scorers is one of that. I hesitate to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but like I I think Jalen Green's going to be an important piece going forward, and if you can get anything out of him, this was a number 2 pick, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe so.
And we've had some reclamation projects on failed top 5 picks in the past. Michael Beasley. But in this case, Jalen's much younger than that. Like, we have not seen his full potential yet. The athletic ability is there. The question is the basketball sense and the on-court IQ there, the ability to be a better passer in the flow of an offense, the ability not to force shots in a better way. That's the part I'm not sure on, and we haven't seen him in the preseason.
Yeah.
Part of why we wait to do this is because opening nights, well, for the Suns, is tomorrow night. There's 2 games on tonight for the NBA. So we've seen all the preseason games. We've seen about as much as we could as far as, training camp interviews and all the media scrums and all that, but we haven't really seen much of Jalen in the Suns uniform yet. So all we had to base it on is the stuff in Houston. The stuff in Houston's a mixed bag, as Dave alluded to. It's some promise, some disappointment. He had 6 out of 7 garbage games in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. 6 single-digit scoring games. Is that who he is? Who knows? But that's going to be the questions for the Suns going forward.
Now, in Houston, he was really the number 2 guy, right? Because Şengün was the number 1, but he's also like the center and he's kind of past first. So like, I think they were relying on Jalen Green to provide a lot of those points, and that might not be his best role. And I think what I'm getting at is if we can unlock Jalen Green in the sense of, will he be more like the Klay Thompson, be the spot up shooter that he's actually good at 3-point shooting? Can we reduce the dumb shots? Can we get a little more driving kick? Can we get, I think his conversion rate at the rim is also horrible. So when you talk about short 2s and 3-pointers, he's also not good at short 2s. So can we work on some of the flaws? And now the problem with some of these guys are look, I made the NBA. I got to be confident in what I do. I can't change it. You get that sometimes. Hopefully that won't be the case with him, because I think there is potential. And we need him to be good if we're not going to be completely awful.
I think what it comes down to for me is, and we'll talk about this in the overall sense as we go forward, but we can tell already from the preseason a few things. Relative success is questionable. In the preseason, you never know. We played the Lakers twice, and Luka played 1 of those, and LeBron played 0. So, preseason stuff as far as results, you don't know. But what we did see was a look into Jordan Ott's offense, and it's very motion-based. Mm-hmm. The best version of Jalen Green that could be unlocked with the Suns is one that is athletic enough to attack those imbalances in the defense when the opportunity presents itself. Is that what we're going to see? I don't know. We saw other players who are not as gifted as Jalen Green taking advantage of some of those opportunities. Royce O'Neal looked like a somewhat different player in the preseason. He's a 10-year vet. So, can we see that in this offense? Maybe. It could be something that has some potential there. We have no way of knowing until the ball tips off for the regular season, because we saw 0 minutes from Jalen Green.
Yeah. You know what? While you bring it up, because we're so new, let's talk about the coach really quick. There is not a lot to take away, but I liked, I don't know how I missed this, that Jordan Ott was assistant in Cleveland.
Yes.
So he's bringing some of that mentality, that good motion offense, that the right way to approach the game, flowing offense, passing. I love it. I loved even the preseason watching our team move. It wasn't always pretty, but we were trying to do the right thing. And I love that. I also feel like from a lot of the pressers, the team seems to have bought in to Jordan Ott in a way that I don't remember with Budenholzer, and maybe it was the case with Vogel. But that was very promising for me to see too.
I always wonder in preseason how much of that is the optimism season, as people say, where it's oh, new fresh face. You're right. I don't get the same amount of optimism as Budenholzer. Maybe it's because, Budenholzer's a retread. He's somebody that's already won a title somewhere else and already has his own personality, his own reputation. Ott doesn't have that same level of reputation. So
Dave,
maybe there's something to that.
I didn't get... if you're separating fan optimism and team optimism, I didn't get any optimism really from Budenholzer himself. I thought his presser was good. Shame on me, I guess. But the team, it's the Durant, chilling, whatever the number is, that chilling when you combine
unbothered.
Thank you. Yes. 36 unbothered. That was always the mentality. So you asked Devin Booker, is he excited? Yeah, we're going to do what we can do, whatever. the answers that I'm hearing now are a lot more like system. We got to be moving. We got to be so like they're buying in, and that's what I mean by optimism. They're not necessarily saying we're going to go out and win a lot of games, but I think it is promising that they're like we have this vision, and we're as I know it's preseason, but we didn't get this, in my opinion, last preseason. So I still think it's promising.
Last preseason was tough to judge too, because when our 3 stars, the only guys who matter on the team really last year were the 3 stars, and who cares what they do in preseason? They're not going to work hard. They're not going to like bust their balls to play as well as they can in preseason. So it's really hard to get a gauge on this. When you have more young guys here, you have more guys who are trying to make an impact and really trying to make their footing in the league. Aside from Booker, who else is like Royce O'Neal? I guess is established. Dylan Brooks is established. Other than that, like, you're not got a lot of people who are still have opportunities to make to be star players in this league.
And the other players who are established, like a Grayson Allen, is never going to be a star. So at that point, like,
exactly,
he's a vet and he knows his role and he can play it well. And he's going to see a decent amount of minutes this year. But you mentioned, as we keep talking about new names, you mentioned Dylan Brooks. I think he's the natural place to go next because we talked about Jalen Green. That's the other part of the Kevin Durant trade and a pick, but we'll get to that later. So to me, it's like, okay, never been a big fan of Dylan Brooks. There's been a couple different times in playoff series in particular where he's talked a big game all series and then disappeared from media availability when the series is over. I take that to mean he's a sore loser. I'm not just saying this because he's in a Suns uniform now. I think we need sore losers. At the very least, after watching the last 2 seasons of mediocrity, and especially last season when it went off the rails, I would so much rather watch players who give a shit, and maybe they turn into whiny little bitches when things don't go their way. But I would much rather see players that care than those who don't. That became clear in the Beal and Durant era.
Yep.
So if Dylan Brooks has to be the villain and be emblematic of that change, I'm going to at least get behind it as long as he's in a Suns uniform. This is not like a Pat Beverly situation.
I probably am caught on this podcast at some point. I don't remember, but it just sounds like me where I said he's the type of player that I could never be a fan of. And, I was very quickly proven wrong because for the reasons you just said, preseason game, I'm glad you brought up he is one of the established people because you're right. And yet he was the first person diving on the floor in game 1 of preseason. And I'm like, I love that. He seems to have, again, preseason, there's only so much we can take away, but he's known for not having great offensive IQ. And I didn't think he showed that in the preseason. I thought he was pretty within himself, which I think he developed quite a bit in Houston. I've kind of loved everything I've seen from him. And Chris, you brought up he makes sense. We were to go to next. We were on the same page, but because we had brought up the pressers, and I thought him and Booker in the press conference. Joking around with each other and laughing with these. I think all of us thought, what is the fit going to be between these two? That was really great to see. So
it's funny. Booker seems to get along with everybody no matter what. I don't know if I've heard a player in the NBA that's been like, man, I hate Devin Booker. I could never play with that guy. So far, I've never heard that. But also, Dylan Brooks is the exact type of guy that you almost need type of guy. I don't like if any dirtiness. I don't like some of the, what some people can call bitchiness of the sore loser stuff where you talk a big game and can't back it up type of deal and then don't face the music afterward. But you need the guy who's going to muck things up. He's going to dive on the floor. He's going to, get physical. That type of thing works. And you need a dude like that on your team, especially someone who may not be a superstar, but can be a 3rd, 4th option potentially. And if Booker and Green are 1 and 2, okay, then Brooks is a 3rd, sometimes 4th, depending on who's on the floor. That helps a lot. And so I feel like every team needs a guy like that.
Yeah. And you want a guy like that because it's infectious. And we saw that. The whole, I'm going to stop saying this. It's a given that it's preseason. So there's only so much you can take away. The hustle. I haven't seen that we had one stretch last year where we won 5 games in a row and we were like, oh my God, what is happening? That was the only time I saw it at all of last season, the type of hustle that I saw in the preseason. You have a guy like that, he brings it. And we're going to need that. We're going to need to out hustle. We're going to need to play defense. because we're gonna have a lot of holes, which I think we'll get to. But I've really liked what I've seen. I think he's that trendsetter. And yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if I want to say he's the new Mikal Bridges. But
he never could. No,
but
it can't be.
He kind of fills a similar role, and we need that.
I think we have to keep going back to the preseason caveat because this team is almost completely new. And when you look at the screen here, and I know the audio listeners can't, but like what sticks out to me the most is the double-digit 10 next to Devin Booker in his column as far as experience. No one else in the league has played more than 8 years. That's Dylan Brooks. That's Royce O'Neal. Grayson Allen's at 7. Now, Grayson Allen's actually the oldest guy on the team. Oh, sorry, Nigel Hayes Davis is. But as far as like main rotation guys, like Grayson Allen's older than Devin Booker by about a year because Booker came out so young. But like all of a sudden, like Devin Booker's like the veteran in a way, which is weird to think about as we've been following his whole career. But as far as like what does this mean from the preseason? I mean, again, like sure, some of these players are back from last year. A couple of folks like O'Neal and Allen have been around for a couple. But it's all we have right now. We have nothing else to go on, so we kind of have to keep going back that way. I want to talk about who I think is the most important acquisition and the only way in which this team is a playoff team.
You're going the same thing I'm going.
Mark Williams.
Yep.
I think the only way this team makes the playoffs, which is tipping our hand a little bit on the pick of number of wins, but still I think there's going to be a disparity, is if Mark Williams is the third best player on the team. And that's asking a lot out of a guy who can barely play half a season to this point. However, despite having two other decent centers in Nick Richards and Oso Ighodaro, I feel like the best version of the Suns is the one where Mark Williams plays 65 or 70 games and is able to do the things that he does really well, but just can't stay healthy for. Offensive rebound, he's one of the best in the league. Shot blocking, which he does better than I think the other two candidates at center. Finishing around the rim, although Nick Richards is also pretty good about finishing as well. I think for the Suns to hit their maximum potential this season, which is like a play-in team maybe that then wins a game to get in, it all centers on Mark Williams actually being able to play a decent chunk of the season. I don't see any other scenario where it happens.
It's super optimistic, and I'm not even going to say that it's even have a chance of happening. But if Malawach kind of blossoms is the only other potential, because Malawach seemingly has tools as just raw as could be, and that's maybe the only other thing. If we have a center that Malawach can do things where he's hyper on defense and runs the rim and rebounds and blocks and stuff like that, then maybe you have a shot at it.
I agree.
You need Williams healthy.
I can't even go there yet. Now, if Mark Williams is hurt or something, and then he steps up, I think if we can get Malawach to be a rotation player in his rookie year, that's a great win. Like, he is very raw. He shows flashes. He had one preseason game where it's like, oh, this is why he was taken at 10th. But, it's funny because last year we infamously had the worst center rotation in the league. That's in the whole league. That's bad. We potentially have a really good center. Like, we flipped it between Mark Williams, Ighodaro, who showed some good flashes in the preseason. Got to fucking work on your free throws. Nick Richards, and then Malawach. Like, all of a sudden, our weakness has become like our strength if we can figure it all out.
I don't know if I'd go as far as strength, but at least it's average. How's that?
I don't think it's average.
Really bad to average.
If they all play the way they can, I think it's above. I think it's well above average.
I'm sort of with Dave, only in the sense that importing Charlotte's center rotation doesn't exactly inspire me with overwhelming confidence, but it is still a sight better than what we were dealing with. And part of why Charlotte underwhelmed in that was because Williams couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So in the best version of that, if he does, I do think that's an above average center rotation. The problem, and again, we'll get to some of this as we go through win totals and whatnot, is that if you think of Ighodaro as a center, and I think you should, because he really can't play alongside another center, we easily have the worst power forward rotation in the league because we don't fucking have any.
Yeah, was that going to be like Rasheer Fleming? Probably some Ryan Dunn time?
Yeah, we'll shift some players over there, and Dylan Brooks might spend some time at the 4 because he's got some decent weight to him and can guard some big men who play at the 4. Like, there's some options there. It's not like, and positionless basketball is king these days more than ever, so it's not the glaring weakness, but it was already a problem last season, and that was with basically slotting Durant there full time. And now, I mean, you can look at the roster on the screen. There's barely anybody listed there, and Iguodaro's not a power forward, and Fleming is a rookie, and we're not sure how much we're going to get out of him. There's just nothing here.
Yeah.
And it's not like the point guard rotation does a whole lot better. So that's the biggest problem I have, is that even if we did shore up center, we still have 2 out of the 5 starting positions where you're like, okay, yes, Devin Booker is probably going to be a point guard again this season, and he can be quite good in that role. But we're sort of looking back at the same problems that we had pre-Ricky Rubio all over again.
Feels really weird that basically we're starting 2 2s, 2 3s, and a 5. Like that's kind of how we're rolling this out. There's not really a traditional 1 through 5 on the team, because Colin Gillespie's not going to start, and he's the closest thing we have to a true 1, and he's definitely a bench player. So, what are you going to do in that? So you mentioned Booker being point guard. I feel like this gets rehashed every other year pretty much. It's like, all right, we had Chris Paul, but he's gone now. So, all right, Booker point guard experiment. Ooh, it didn't work. All right, we're going to try to bring in a point guard, and we sign a veteran minimum who's supposed to be really good and took a discount. Oh, he sucked. So, okay, Booker point guard experiment. Here we go again. It is, though. Booker is a really good distributor. It's just, I feel like it takes so much away from his strengths, which is where we lose that value. And if Jalen Green can become a little bit of Booker light, then maybe that alleviates some of that. But that's going to require him being a lot better decision maker, which I don't know that he has.
What makes me wonder is, in the modern NBA, how many true point guards are there?
I mean, the funny thing is, you can't even say Curry is a true point guard. He's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, and very good decision maker. But he shoots. He's so much more of a shooter than a true point guard.
Yeah. He's got point guard capabilities, clearly, and he modeled his game after Steve Nash as one of his 2 main influences. Like, he can clearly be a point guard first type player, but that's not the best version of him. I mean, looking around the league, what else is there? Like, Chris Paul's still around. I don't think he's starting for the Clippers, though. Mike Conley's still around, but he's going to be 39 years old this season. That's a guy you might think of as a traditional point guard. So the situation is changing a bit. You're going to need one of your guards certainly to be able to have some of the ball handling and distributing capabilities. But if we don't have many true point guards around anymore anyways, I guess I'll take my chances with Devin Booker as much as anyone. I might like it better if he had a better fit alongside him as shooting guard, and maybe Jalen Green is that. We don't know yet, as we mentioned. But at the very least, I'm not worried about Book at 1. It's everywhere else and what happens when he's not playing that I have much bigger concerns.
Yeah, so 2 things right there. One is we've seen, and I suspect this is going to be the case because why wouldn't it be? Booker's not actually bringing the ball up.
Which I like.
Yeah, I love it. Somebody else bringing the ball up, and then they're getting him to his spots where he can initiate the offense in a way that makes sense. So credit to Jordan out for that. I thought that's really smart. He's going to save a little bit of energy, and we're going to help him. I feel like, Dave, you brought up the point guard experiment didn't work. And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, because how would it ever have worked? We just basically said, go do it. We're not there's not really any plays. You just go be point guard. And it looks like we have an approach now. We're actually trying to be strategic. And I think it's going to help a lot. And the plus minus when he's off the floor is really, really, really bad. So I don't know what we're going to do exactly there. But I guess we're going to figure it out. Maybe that's where Gillespie can come in, and then it's a little more traditional. He had a decent preseason. We had a lot of guys who did have solid minutes, but it just looks a little janky. We end up getting Dylan Brooks, doing his weird sort of one-on-one game, which he didn't abuse, and we kind of needed it, weirdly enough. But I don't think that's the recipe for the most success.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And I mean, I would love for Gillespie to be the solid backup point guard. So for the 11 minutes a game that Booker's not on the floor, all of a sudden we have someone who can not turn the ball over and still generate an offense. So we don't have, that stretch in between 4 minutes left in the first quarter and 8 minutes left in the second quarter where it's all of a sudden it's like, God, we've gotten outscored 15-3 in that run. That's the stuff we have to avoid, because if that happens repeatedly, it's going to be tough to overcome that type of stuff.
Yep.
I don't know if there's a whole lot else on the roster that warrants a ton of mention, because there's a lot of solid 11th guys on this roster with upside, which is the right bet to take, especially when we didn't have a lot of roster flexibility or room within the salary cap or the aprons to do much else. The one nice thing is that by making the move they made at the end of the preseason, I'm forgetting the name of the guard who went off for 30-something points. And
Butler.
On him. Thank
Jared
you,
Butler.
Jared. Yeah.
Butler.
By cutting him, they're underneath luxury tax, if I'm not mistaken, going into the season. That move basically put them
reason.
just underneath it. So they've gotten out from under the thumb of the second apron. Did they do enough? You can certainly argue that to death. But by bringing in some of these players, like the second-round draft picks like a Kobe Bryant that they got, Rasheer Fleming is also a second-round guy, so we'll see. Like, bringing in some players that are cheap, young, controllable, that's the best we can do. Are any of those guys going to contribute meaningfully this season? Maybe Fleming. I don't know. Hopefully. It would be great if one of them popped off, but that's the right way to go about this. There's no sense in getting some of those like retread, like Yuta Watanabe type players who are like, oh, just hanging on barely in the NBA. You might as well make plays for upside and the fringes because you still have a rotation of like 10 deep that are actually NBA guys, but the rest of these guys are lottery tickets that I don't expect to see the floor much, but I like having them around because you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You take your shots on them. It's funny that I think our draft picks the past few years have been those kind of lottery tickets, and they haven't hit like a lottery, but it's also like the, hey, I won $10. Sweet. Like the Oso Ighodaro, where it's like, man, that's a second round pick. Let's see what happens. Hey, he's serviceable. Okay, we can actually keep him on the floor. So you hit those little ones like that, which is important for roster building.
Yeah.
But we do need to have kind of that lottery ticket that really hits if we want to take that next leap.
I wish we could talk a little bit more about Dunn, but like, I say that because I don't think he's still like good, but not like, oh man, he really took a leap. I can't wait. He's just like, yeah, he's done. He's still done.
What can you say about him? I mean, he's going to be good defensively. His shot seems to be there and not there, depending on where it is. We thought when he came in as a rookie and started hitting everything, we're like, oh my God, could he be the steal of the draft? He's hitting all these threes, and he's not bad at shooting threes, but it's just not the consistency that you'd hope or the driving ability you hope. So he kind of is what he is, it feels like, which isn't bad, but you need more.
Yeah.
One thing that might help, if he can get that 3-point percentage up to 35% or so, doesn't have to be anything like killer. We said the same thing about Josh Okogie, right? So like the blueprint for this doesn't always work, but if he can, one thing he did flash in this offense in the preseason was backdoor cuts.
Gosh.
And because he's maybe the fiercest finisher we've got. I mean, Mark Williams and Nick Richards attacked the rim, and hell, even Malawatch showed some flashes of it. But like from the non-centers, like it's clear Ryan Dunn's like the biggest finisher we've got. So like if you can unlock the ability for defenses to have to kind of keep turning their head towards the corner as if you might be there and might be a threat, that's going to be enough to unlock something new for him. Is that enough? Are defenses really going to respect that when it becomes like not clutch in time? I don't know, but that might be one new dimension for him that will help. He's also kind of like Oso Ighodaro, and they're always linked together, just in the sense that like you got to make your free throws, you got to hit 70%.
Yeah.
Again, you don't have to be Kevin Durant or Booker and make 90% or whatever, but like you can't be a liability because then there's going to be other guys in the rotation who are going to take your minutes. I hope Dunn flashes this year. There is a world where if he becomes our third best player, maybe you can still sneak in a playing game if he really does take a leap. But I'm just not as convinced it's going to happen. But again, for where we picked him, if he ends up being a starter level quality player for us, that's still a huge win.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the kind of the hope right now is that we do have, as weird as it sounds, I hope we have 5 NBA starter level quality players. That'd be good to have 5, right? You hope you have 5.
Yeah.
But in years past, we certainly have not had that.
No.
Now, the problem with trying to look at this roster and figure out what we want to do with picks and all that is, like we mentioned, it's one-dimensional in some ways. It's got some unknowns in a lot of ways. Like I mentioned Nigel Hayes-Davis. He's actually the oldest guy in the team. You know, he's had a lot of success internationally. People have raved about him as an acquisition as far as like, hey, the Suns got a chance to take a swing on this. Like, that's a great chance. Like, he's a veteran guy, but he still has enough in the tank that he might have something. Like, there's a lot of players on here that we're just not sure. Jordan Goodwin, the Lakers raved about him last year.
Yeah.
We had him a little while before that ourselves, and he looked good in the preseason. Is he going to play in the regular season? I don't know. Good roster depth, a nice guy to have around, still pretty young himself, but like, does it move the needle? I don't know. So when we look at picks, to me, when we're starting to talk win totals and converting to that part of this, it's more so almost about the rest of the West than it is about the Suns. When I start to try and formulate a win total in my head, the problem I keep coming back to is that they are probably the 13th best team in the conference. Maybe 12th if you want to feel generous. But barring major injuries, which a couple teams are going to deal with, but like we don't know and we can't predict based on that, it's really hard to see them finishing much higher than that in the West, which to me then limits the cap on how high I can go on a win total, because it's like, okay, if all these teams are going to finish above them, the math just says that there's a problem with them trying to get above, say, 35 wins.
Well, let's pull up the conference really quick so we can just refer. And while you're doing that, I just do want to say, I did think, oh my God, Grayson Allen? I thought he looked sharp. Like, hey, preseason, whatever. I was like, okay, you came to play. And I liked there was a little bit of, his game looked a little bit dynamic. So, yeah, for what it's worth. He's probably going to be starting, I would guess, until Jalen Green is healthy.
Yeah.
So.
Probably, yeah. It makes the most sense.
Okay, so like what I did in the car was I was like, what are the teams in the West that are definitely better than us? And so you go Oklahoma, Denver. I think the Clippers, even though there's question marks, I think they're still, with the healthy Kawhi, I think they're better than us. I think you probably say the Lakers too. Minnesota, and probably Houston, even though I know Fred VanVleet is down, and Kevin Durant brings bad vibes everywhere. I still think they're probably better than us. But then you look at the rest of the teams. Is Golden State definitely better than us? Probably, but I think you can question it, right? Dallas, if the Cooper flag hits and all of that, could they be better? They have a killer defense, but like without Kyrie, like, I don't know. Pelicans, probably not. Sacramento, I actually think they're a disaster. I'm not that scared of them.
Mm-hmm.
Portland, I think, sucks. So, like, when I'm looking at that, I think we're going to start to see the difference in our opinions, because, Chris, you were thinking 13th. I'm willing to go a bit higher than that based on some of the other teams. With the caveat, they could absolutely be the worst team in the conference.
You mentioned 3 teams that you think they're better than, so that already puts you at 12th right there. So,
oh, okay. Sorry. So Utah is one. I think Spurs. My logic is telling me I should consider them a threat. I don't think they're there yet. Even with De'Aaron Fox and Wemby, I'm like, okay. The rest of that roster doesn't scare me that much. Maybe they're going to get unlocked this year.
All of a sudden, with those 5 teams, you just put us in a playoff game in the play.
That was when I was doing this, Dave. They were at 8th or 9th, so that's why my win total actually went up a little bit, because we're gonna outwork a lot of teams, and if we don't carry that through, we're gonna win a lot less than I'm gonna project. But I think our floor is going to be the hustle that we give, and the defense and the giving a shit, which seems to be the DNA of quite a few of our guys on the team. I think it's going to elevate us. And, with the fact that I'm looking back and, somebody had 20 wins. I read somewhere 20 wins for this team. We went back to like where it was Devin Booker and Scrubs, and we won like 19. Like, I don't see how that's going to happen. Could it be mid-30s? Yeah, but like, I don't know, man. I thought last year's team was complete ass. Like, horrible team. So I think we're better than we were last year in terms of, are we going to hustle? Are we going to play that defense? Are we going to care? I don't think we can get out of the first round, because the way everybody shows up when it's the playoffs, the minutes are extended. I can't see, even with the best season, us making it past the first round. I think we might be a playoff team. That's going to be the most optimistic take you're going to hear, I think.
It's really weird to hear the fact that we could be better as a team this year. Our team was so terrible last year. When you just look at the sheer talent that was on the team last year, you know what I mean? Like, it just like doesn't compute properly, right? Like, you look at that and it's like, how is it possible that we could be better this year? It's almost, addition by subtraction in that same sense. I also want to point out, Sean, you did have one year about 13 years ago. You said that a team led by Marcin Gortat.
I was dumb back then. I can't be held accountable for that.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's been there before. You've had optimism before.
I'm not saying I've never had optimism. No, but like, what? Okay. Was there anyone who hated last year's team more than me out of us? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, there isn't, because I think Chris and I became a little more indifferent than anything else. Not hatred.
Yep.
That's more of what it was.
That's it.
I mean, that's true.
I just tuned out.
Yeah. So like, I hated last year's team. I still like going to the games. They're still fun. I'm there for Book, but man, infuriating. So like, I mean, you look at Memphis. Memphis could be decent, Or they could be like one thing away from like a rebuild. Like they're in a really weird spot too because Morant has just fallen off a cliff. So it gets really interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think?
This is like the toughest, one of the tougher ones to pick.
Yeah.
You know, in years past, we've had so much like evidence and optimism of what we're doing. And this year feels like it's throwing a dart at a board almost. You don't expect them to, you definitely don't expect them to be a 50-win team. I mean, I don't think anybody does really, but there's different scenarios and depending on how it plays out where you could be that mid 40s or you could be in the mid 20s. It's such a wide variety and wide range you can hit. So it's kind of just your gut at that point of what you're feeling.
I am sort of perplexed because I'm going to sneak up to the East real quick here. There you go. You can see the bottom two teams in the East as well. Charlotte, Washington, and Utah all tried to fucking openly tank last year. And they all won at least 17 games. They all had differentials and point differentials of 9 or more. The Wizards were a minus 12.4. This is not the years of the Charlotte Bobcats when they won
9
single digits.
9.
So, like, it's hard to not win 20 games now because these three teams sure as hell tried and barely succeeded. So it does put, like, a low end on, even if you think, like, the worst-case scenario happens. Like, if Devin Booker misses half the season, how bad could it be? And it's like, well, I don't know. The Jazz held out Lauri Markkanen for half the season with ghost injuries, and they still won 17 games. So, like, what? And it's weird because there's more talent in the league than ever. I mean, look how many teams are on the top of this conference that you're like, oh my God, like, you know, Sean alluded to a lot of them. You know, there's at least 6 or 7 that are clearly better than us. And I do have the Warriors firmly in that group because they finished 23-9 after the Jimmy Butler trade. Like, they took it to another level at that point. I'm also kind of perplexed because the Suns won 36 games last year. And I think that number is somehow both appropriate and yet like too many and not enough. You can see on the screen, they finished 1-9 because as they got out of play-in contention, they just fucking shut it down. And Durant was hurt. It could probably have come back and played a couple games if they had meant anything, but by that point, we'd already been eliminated. So I'm like, that team was dog shit all year. They still won 36 games. How did they win 36 games? I don't know. They were 12-29 on the road. How did they win 36 games? Can this team win more than 36 games?
Yeah.
And the answer in my heart is no.
Okay. So the other thing, before you give your number, because I like setting up all the. We have no incentive to tank, so
right.
That's gonna matter with the win total, right? Like it's not gonna be well, we're trying to tank or whatever. Like this is a team that's gonna try because they have to try, so that's gonna matter. And I forgot my other point. But that was the main one. Was just we have no incentive to tank. We're fucked. So we're going to be trying.
Yeah, the lack of draft pick.
Yeah. We're going to be trying the whole season. And I don't know. A lot of these teams don't. Yeah, even let's give them Golden State. But like some of these teams that we think, at least one of the teams we think they're going to be better than us, we're going to be better than, I think, unless we're fucking terrible. I don't know. Dave, where are you at? You said 45 or 25?
Yeah, like I said, it's a wide range. So if we want to give the actual number, I can start us off. Chris already tilted his hand as far as he thinks it's going to be less than 36. I guess I'm being optimistic because I think we are going to have more than 36 wins this year. I think the last 10 games of the season really screwed over that number. And the fact that we have a team that's going to be hustling and fighting for things as opposed to not is going to make a difference. I don't think it's going to be much more, but I'm settling in at 38 wins.
All right. What's yours, Chris? Where do you want me to go?
Either way, you pick.
I'm going to be the most optimistic, so I'll go last.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Didn't see that coming. All right.
There's big question marks, and that's true across the league maybe more than ever because there's so many players battling injuries, and even a team like the Clippers, who I think some would consider a title contender, even if Kawhi Leonard's health is better than it has been in years past, there's also the aspiration stuff that's going to linger throughout the year. I don't think it's going to affect their roster or Kawhi this season. The investigation is probably going to take till the All-Star break, but like, who knows? Maybe Kawhi gets suspended for half a season because anything's possible. I'm not saying I think
Maybe
that's
his
likely.
contract gets voided.
Right. Like maybe he becomes a free agent because they make a massive mistake and void his contract, and then the Lakers sign him. Like, who the hell knows? We're talking about hypotheticals that are unlikely, but possible. But I can't get around the fact that, like, the Thunder might be even better than last year. They won 68 games last year. The Rockets probably improved. We'll see how well Durant fits. The Lakers are going to come down to health, and LeBron's going to be missing the first 4 weeks of the season, or I guess 3 now. He's already missed a week. With an injury that's going to probably hamper him throughout the season, because sciatica is no joke, and he's an old man. And he's my age, so I am also an old man. Denver improved.
Got better. Yeah, Denver got better.
Denver got better.
Yep.
I think Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr. is at worst neutral, and given Johnson's health, maybe an upgrade. But more importantly, they have a backup center for Nikola Jokic.
And also I want to point out that Cam Johnson is an insane and childish like Michael Porter Jr. So, there's that.
Yeah, that was certainly an offseason for Michael Porter Jr., wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The Timberwolves are absolutely a top 6 team.
Yep.
And I think the Warriors are there as well. I have the Clippers falling out the top 6. Memphis is a question mark. They lost Desmond Bane. You never know with John Morant. Jaren Jackson Jr. can't stay healthy. They could certainly drop. The Kings, I feel like, are going to fall. The Mavericks are an unknown because of Kyrie, and you're also depending on Anthony Davis to be healthy. They could fall. I don't know how the Blazers won 36 games last season either. It's not too many Kamara. It's not just him. It's certainly not Scoot Henderson. There's obviously other young talent on that team. Denny Avdija was really good last year. It wasn't DeAndre Ayton. The Spurs are a big question mark, right? Like, Wembanyama, if he plays 70 games, is probably a top 3 MVP candidate. And De'Aaron Fox is not healthy to start the year, but there's still plenty of other young talent around them. And then there's the Pelicans and the Jazz, who are clearly, I think, worse. Those are the 2 teams I have behind us easily. I also think the Kings are very likely to finish behind us. But that's as far as I can go. I'm going 31. And what I am doing, in part, is voting with my head and not my heart. In my heart, I feel like there is a version of this team that plays its ass off, plays solid defense, and gets enough on offense around a rejuvenated Devin Booker that I could be way wrong on that. But in my head, I honestly think there's a very real chance we finish with a win total that starts with 2. So I'm trying to split my head and heart as best as I can. And if I'm wrong, great. I'll be happy. Because what I would pick last year was the highest of the 3 at 57, and I was off by 20 fucking games. I'm not doing that again.
Yep.
2 wins, Chris. Win that starts with a 2. You're picking us to win 2 games? Jesus.
That's right. 2 or 20 or 21 or 22 or.
All right, Sean. This is the widest disparity we're going to have ever in the history of our
maybe
picks.
ever.
The number I'm going to throw out, we've never seen it. So
before the preseason, I was going to go mid-20s.
Before the preseason, I was going to go low 30s. So I'm with.
So we kind of both
mostly
rose, but we had different outlooks going
because,
in.
again,
strangely enough, I've not changed.
If you look
at all. This is kind of what I thought.
I want to make it clear. I'm not doing guys, we were 3-1 in the preseason.
Nope.
If you extrapolate that out,
yeah,
not about that. It was about the DNA that we saw in the team, the way that they're going to be a hustle team. They're going to set the tone. It looks like they're going to try to punch first. If all that fails or we lose interest in it, which we've done before, then who knows? But I can't account for that, and I am a bit of a homer, so I would like to think what we have shown will continue. I'm not sitting here saying Booker's going to go to a new level. Mark Williams is going to be the new Ayton, but carrying all the time, and Ryan Dunn is going to be Bridges, but better. I'm just saying, if they carry forward what they showed, which is not that hard. The hustle is something where if you care, you can do that every night. It's not like a 3-point percentage if we keep shooting the hell out of the ball. You can replicate hustle. I'm going 42. I was going to go 40, and I thought, if I'm going, just fucking give them a winning season at that point. It's fucking 2 games. So, because I thought 40, I was really on 41 for a long time. I was like, don't be a bitch. Pick 42 or 40.
You know what this does is it allows you and I to tie. Because if they win exactly 40 games, then you and I are exactly the same distance apart.
True. I'll go 43.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. I like this. You gave me
Wow.
an extra game. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, a half game, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So 43.
Yeah.
I still bad. I honestly, I think they're probably going to be, Dave, I was my number for a long time was 39, but you went 38. I was like, I'm not going to choose one game away from you. So I'm
Done
gonna,
that before. Come on.
yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more optimistic, and say 42, but I bet you 39 is the golden number. Anyways, yeah, that's where we're at. But 39 is probably playing. Well, it was last season. Who knows? But
Yeah, who knows on this one? It depends on where you, what other teams do in that sense, or how bad the bottom is really. Because in the East, like, I don't know, the East messes things up. The West is always so damn good.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a time that the West isn't going to be good?
Doesn't seem like it.
well, and it's funny, Chris, because you would be better at this than me. But I was trying to think, like, well, mathematically, if I concede that there are 6 or 7 teams that are absolutely better than us, I'm sure in some ways that actually partially dictates like the win total, like, because that means they have to win a certain amount of games, and then that means we're losing a certain amount of games and all of that. But that's a conversation for someone more analytically minded than me.
Yeah, but you can do the basics of it. You can see here 8 teams in the West won 48 games last season.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Suns are better than any of them. So that's tough sledding. Even if some of them do regress, like that's a tough sell. Now, only one team won more than 52. There's a huge grouping there, which was kind of cool as the regular season came to a close. We saw the playoff seeding battle down to the last game of the season. And that's part of the reason why I'm so pessimistic, at least as far as the win total. Although I still like the way we're going to play. I'm optimistic about like enjoying Suns basketball again. If we're in the East, I would come join you guys. Although you guys might also go higher. But like the East is already bad, and now we have like massive questions about, well, is Jason Tatum going to play at all this season? And the Celtics had to blow up 2 of their 5 starters for the reasons we talked about long before it happened when we looked at the second apron ramifications. Like,
Yep.
So they're going to take a huge step back. I mean, hell, we can look at the East real quick. Like, who's better in the East? Cleveland won 64 games last year. Are they going to improve on that? Maybe they're kind of a regular season team, but not by much, certainly. The Celtics are going to take a huge drop. The Knicks could be better. The Pacers are going to fall off a cliff with no Halliburton. The Bucks, Giannis could get traded mid-season. It's possible. The door is at least open now. The Pistons look sexy on paper, but they've got some injuries to start the season, and they kind of outperformed their Pythag last season by like 6 or 7 games. They had like unsustainable clutch numbers. That sounds familiar to Suns fans, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The Magic could take a jump. They're young and talented, and maybe healthier than last season. If like Wagner and Banchero don't miss a chunk of the season. Fuck the Heat. They don't care about the regular season anyways. And the rest of those teams are, I mean, the Hawks will be good. Everybody else below that's dog shit, except maybe the Raptors, but I'm not even sure what the hell they're doing with their roster. In the East, I could have the Suns maybe even being 500, but they're not in the East, and they play 2/3 of their games against the West.
Yep.
And as such, I'm like, I think we're just going to get stomped by teams with superior talent on a pretty regular basis. But we're going to try our asses off. We're not going to look indifferent. And honestly, I'll take that over a 36-win team that looked like they just didn't fucking care.
People like I feel like you're so right. We're gonna talent-wise, we don't match up. We just don't. But I'm hoping like this is going to be a team that potentially cares about the NBA Cup, for example, unlike our previous teams. Like there are certain games we're going to win on the fringe because this is all we got. Like even OKC was really good. They might be like, we're looking to repeat this year. So like you can take this one or what. I don't know if we're going to beat them, but like, you know what I'm saying is like, all we have is the regular season. So I think we're going to get a little bit of juice. I'm going to be way fucking all. We can win 15 games. I don't know. It is really weird. We've all said the caveats. Like it could be a disaster.
Who do you have in the finals? We usually do some kind of prediction along those lines just to see who's going to win the title.
I mean, how could it not be? I don't think Houston's going to be super good. I'm going to throw that out there now. Durant can prove me wrong. I saw they were talking about the box score of one of the games, and one of the, I think it was just a fan, was like, yeah, 5 turnovers is a lot, but like we'll attribute that to like getting to know a new team and all of that. I was like, 5 turnovers, get used to it, buddy.
Well, I mean, they're already 0-1.
Oh, they lost tonight?
They lost to the Thunder by 1.
Okay.
With a weird situation at the end where I think Durant tried to call a timeout and they didn't have any, but they didn't hit him with a Chris Webber or something weird happened where they couldn't. Anyway, so like there was a 1-point loss to the best team in the league, so it's not like, okay. Houston. But they're 0-1. They're a half game behind us in the standings, so fuck them.
All right,
so maybe I'm
shut
wrong.
it down.
Yep, stop the count.
Maybe Houston's going to be great. Like, I don't know, but yeah, so finals though, fuck. On the East?
Mm-hmm.
New York, maybe. I don't know though. They've like disappointed kind of every. Well, I don't know. I guess that's not totally true.
No, they didn't. I mean, New York definitely didn't disappoint last postseason. They
Yeah.
made the Eastern Conference Finals, and then
Yeah, like-
ran into the Halliburton buzzsaw. Basically, is the
Yeah.
only reason that.
I guess that's fair. They didn't disappoint per their expectations. I have a hard time seeing that team go to the finals, I guess is a better way of saying it, but they could.
The hard part, Sean, the hard part to think about is that, yeah, I agree with you. I have a hard time seeing the New York Knicks in the finals. But then if you scroll back up to the East and you look at who else is there in the East, you're like, oh, the Cavaliers in the finals then, right? Like, that must mean the Cavaliers are going to be in the finals. Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, yeah,
that same thing.
That could happen if they break through, but like they remind me of that Atlanta Hawks team, just one of those teams is going to overperform in the regular season. Now, to be fair, they did deal with injuries that they didn't have before. So that's not entirely, I'm not being fair to them completely.
But it's the feeling of it. Like when you're talking about the feeling of the Knicks in the finals, the Cavs have the same thing.
Could Milwaukee be good? I feel like without, like, looking back, I feel like Holiday, it was really funny. I don't know if you guys saw the Little Suns viral video that they did of, they said, who's the most underrated player in the NBA? Multiple Suns said Drew Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's a great choice. And I think looking back at that Bucks team, I don't even know if he got enough credit. And I think he got a decent amount. I think he was huge. And then obviously, Giannis being superhuman,
and Cam Johnson was just doing an interview, I think yesterday or something, where he talked about like Chris Middleton killed us in the finals.
Yeah.
People will remember Giannis and he had otherworldly performances. He's the main reason why they won. I'm not saying that, but like, he was like, we just could not stop Middleton from getting to his mid-range.
Yeah.
And he was, before he started getting that slew of injuries, he was very, very good. So it's like, we can forget how good that Bucks team was. Now, of course, just about everybody's gone except for like Bobby Portis at this point. But
aren't they going to be like bad? Like,
I don't know if they can be bad in the East with Giannis. That has to be an above 500 team.
Yeah, probably above 500 for sure. But like, if the Bucks win like 45 games, that's like bad for them.
Probably the standard they're used to in the 2020s. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that we have evidence on this podcast of how excited we would have been for Drew Holiday had he ever come to the Suns. I think that would have been
hell. I still would be excited.
I know we suck, and it would be great to have him.
Yeah. I will go. Probably New York. I think New York is probably it next year in the finals, or Orlando maybe if they can really break through. That's me. What do you guys think?
Wow. That would be a prediction and a half if that happened.
That's why I'm like, I'm going to be safe and say New
I think
York.
they're the third most likely team in the East.
Yeah.
Yep. Are you just defaulting to the Thunder in the West, or do you have a?
Oh yeah, I said it's OKC unless like something crazy happens.
Yeah.
Because Houston doesn't impress me all that much.
I'm the same. I'm in the same boat.
I'll be wrong. I'll be whatever. But it's gonna be OKC.
I'm jilted. I'm the jilted lover and not wanting. I don't not want to see Durant succeed. I just don't see how it's going to happen, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it's OKC in the West, and for me, it's probably Cleveland. I just like they're just so solid all the way around. They're so solid, which then means Donovan Mitchell will make the finals, which it hasn't happened before, and he's always had kind of that like, yeah, he's a great player, can't win, but he's got a great team around him this time, and he's a really, really good player. So
yeah,
it's funny because he has a better team around him, so he's better than Devin Booker now.
Yeah.
Weird how that works, huh? Weird how that works.
See, but honestly, I look at Cleveland when I hit my 42, and I said like, if we can channel a little bit of that, like, because I think they're good, but I think they not overperform to expectations. I think they certainly did.
Yeah.
So if we can do the same thing, like, get into that magic sauce.
I'm going to do something crazy.
Okay.
All right.
The East is a mess. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And Cleveland won 64 games last year with a plus 9.5 differential. And there's really no reason other than losing Ty Jerome that they should take a step back. And Jerome was good for them. 6th man of the year candidate if he'd played 0.3 more minutes per game.
Stupid.
But I still don't know how much I trust both Mobley and Allen together as a front court pairing and Mitchell and Garland together as a backcourt pairing. Because in some ways they played better with one off the floor in both of those scenarios. So I'm taking the Knicks in the East. Now this is a bit of a leap of faith because, no more Thibodeau. It's Mike Brown now, and Kat's already had a couple quotes in the preseason about like, I'm not sure what I'm doing on offense that certainly raise at least some small alarm bells, I would guess. But I'll take the Knicks in the East, and I'm taking the Nuggets in the West.
Ooh,
I'm going even more controversial in the
it.
West. I'm picking against a team that had a record-best point differential that won 68 games last season that not only should get better just internally from its young players, at least some of them taking another step, but also because if they wanted to at the trade deadline, they could uncork all sorts of assets to bring in maybe even Giannis. They have such a treasure trove of assets that anything is possible. And yet, I keep thinking to myself, the Nuggets got Bruce Brown back. They got rid of MPJ. They have a healthy Aaron Gordon. And that team has been eliminated in 7 games in drag-out, really tough series the last 2 seasons by Minnesota and then the eventual champion, the Thunder, last year. I'm betting on the best player in basketball. I do think there's a small chance that the Thunder, having won a title with young players that don't really know what it means to win a title that early, not taking this season as seriously as they should. So I could be very wrong about that. The Thunder might win 70 games and then go 16-0 in the playoffs. I will absolutely recognize that that's possible. I'm going to do something different and swerve a bit because I have that much respect for what I think the Nuggets have done to keep their core together that really mattered.
I think it's like a hot take that's like not hot. Like I agree with you. Like I very well could see that be the case.
I think most people would have them as the second or third best team in the West. So it's kind of like, if you picked the Cavs and you think they're the second best team in the East or whatever. Like it's not like I think the Clippers are going to win the title despite everything going on because it's going to galvanize them. It's like, no, they suck. Fuck them.
Yep.
It's funny. It's basically you can't count the Nuggets out until Jokic decides that he really does just want to go raise horses. And once he decides that, then you can count him out. But until then, they're always a threat.
Yep.
Like Aaron Gordon had no hamstring in Game 7 by all accounts, or whatever injury. I thought it was a hammy, quad, whatever it was, like something that was hampering him. He could barely go. Still played 30 minutes in that game, which boggles my mind.
That's some real good drugs they gave him.
Yeah. And they sort of collapsed in Game 7 the year before against Minnesota. That's a game they probably should have won. But nonetheless, I just think the moves they made in the offseason, they got better at basically, like they have depth. And they really have not had depth pretty much at any point in Jokic's time as the best player in the league the last 5 years. So I'm going to go on a small leap of faith, not because the Nuggets are like a dark horse pick, but because the Thunder feel like the right choice. But I'll swerve a bit.
I'd be happy if Denver won the title next year. For it's worth.
Yeah. I don't mind it.
It's not going to be the Suns. So.
No.
I find it funny. I do find it funny. And looking at the West, there's not a lot of teams that I hate. The 2 LA teams I strongly despise, obviously.
Sure.
Don't like the Rockets much.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't really like Minnesota very much.
I don't hate them. I don't hate them. Like, they're not my favorite, but I don't hate them.
Yeah, like if you're talking about like Spurs, back in the day, hate.
Yeah, not that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a single team that,
but I will say I don't hate Minnesota either, but Minnesota and Memphis both are on my shit list for talking too much before they've done anything.
Oh, yeah.
Not hate, but happy to see lose generally.
Yeah. I don't even hate. It's weird because I hated Dallas with Luka. Like, that was probably the closest I got to the Spurs hatred. Now, I don't know. Luka, I don't think they're going to be very good. Maybe they're going to be great. I don't know. But I don't I don't hate them any more than usual.
Oh, I hate them even more because it's the combo of the two. Like, it's the already there Lakers hate with the Luka hate just merged into this.
Yeah, but
sandwich.
you're such a simp for LeBron. Are you sure you can say that?
I don't understand how respecting one of, if not the greatest player in the history of basketball means I'm a simp.
Simp.
What a simp. I do hate Portland.
Chanting it does fix it. You're right.
I still have no reason for hating Portland, but I still do. I don't know why.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I
like
feel
Portland.
it's in my heart.
Yeah.
My head can't reconcile it, but my heart's like, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting season. We don't really know what to expect. It could be that I'm even on the high side with my guess.
I hope that's not the case,
south.
but that's possible.
It's possible.
God, I hope not.
It's also possible that Sean's absolutely right, and this team really surprises people. And the benefit of the header I had on the top of the screen at the start is we don't expect to do much. Even Sean's like, yeah, we might just barely be above 500. So if they do get off to a quick start and they're playing well together and they're hustling and they're outworking their opponents and it's a fun style of basketball to watch, it's going to get easy to get sucked in. And again, I'd love for us to win 50 games. Fuck my prediction. But
Yeah, no kidding.
I would still just be happy with, we went 30 and 52, but like we played the right way. And it's working towards something in subsequent years as we get further out from underneath the thumb of the salary cap problems. If that's the direction, I'll take that over the last 2 years because those have been a slog.
Right. I would honestly, I'm not just saying this. I'd rather win 25 games playing the right way than whatever the last 2 seasons were. So, yeah.
Of course.
We should see a lot less ISO, and that's already a big step in the right direction.
Yep.
All right. Well, check back with us in about 9 months. Well, hell, less than that, like 7, because this team won't be playing in the postseason, most likely. Most likely. But check back with us in April, and we'll see how we've done. In years past, we used to put like a dinner on the line for this prediction, and I think we're far enough apart that it's worth doing again, because before, like last season when we had 55, 56, 57, the only way 56 could win is if they hit exactly 56. So that was kind of a shitty bet. This year, I think there's enough of a gap where it's worth looking at. So we'll have some small stakes on it as well, and we'll see what happens. But as always, go Suns. Here we go. Another year without a title. Maybe next year, guys. Come on. By the way, one last note as I wrap up. I sure hope we win a title, because the longer we do the podcast, which I love that we're still doing, it's great. But the longer we go without a title, the longer this podcast is going to get depressing.
Oh, yeah.
If we're still doing this 10 years from now, which I don't have any reason to think we wouldn't be, but whatever, and we still haven't won a title, then it's going to start being like, all right, well, we're all going to be our 50s now, and death could be around the corner.
How about my grandpa? We talked about this.
Yeah.
He's in his 90s.
Al McCoy.
Yeah.
One of the last things he did was introduce Mike Budenholzer. Look how that went.
Yeah.
Budenholzer killed him. Good God.
Oh, my God. The last straw. All right, that's the end of this episode. Remember, episode 700 is coming up. That's the end of November, so we hope you'll join us for that. We'll plug more about what's going on with that and encourage you to show up live for that one when we get closer. We also have a game show coming up, maybe a Hades 2 review, some other things on the horizon. So thank you for listening or watching. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, grayareas.live, or youtube.com/@grayareaslive. We will see you next week. Go Suns.